Hi and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar. It is time for the featured chord of the month for January, February, and March 2017. And this month I chose a chord that just kind of came to mind because I'm doing a series on some of the ideas that I borrowed from Tiny Grimes' playing. And Tiny Grimes, Earl Hooker, and Pee Wee Crayton, I've heard all of them use this kind of different kind of 7th chord over the 4. And so let's take a song in B flat, which is a typical Tiny Grimes key, Pee Wee Crayton some too. And our 1 is our B flat. Our 4 is going to be an E flat. So in this case an E flat 9th. And our 5 is going to be an F. So an F 9th or F7, whatever we want to do. Now when you're playing an E flat 7th, there's different ways to play it. The easiest way, the one that I always think of, is right here. Just taking a C 7th shape, 1, 2, 3 frets up, with my ring finger on the E flat, 6th fret of the 5th string. Now Pee Wee Crayton and Tiny Grimes too, they do some stuff in B flat, where on the 1, he's playing the B flat maybe down or up here, where Tiny Grimes might play it like that. That's the 1 chord. And if you were doing this, and let's say you're in B flat, this is the 1. You could go to the 4 with a E flat 9th down here, and back to the 1, F, back to the 1. And that's using a 9th chord. You could also use the Tiny Grimes type, which is kind of neat. There's a guy on YouTube named Tommy Harkenrider who does a great lesson on some of the Tiny Grimes chords. Fantastic guitar player and great teacher. So I'm going to stay away from that, but I am going to show you what I hear him doing over the 4. So instead of playing the E flat 9th here, or the E 7th, E flat 7th, he plays the E flat 7th here. So he goes like this: the 1, the 4, the 1, the 5, the 1, whoops. So what I'm doing is I'm basically playing over the first position bar chord shape of the 4. This would be an E flat 7th. And what I'm doing is just kind of changing the chord. And I'm making a D shape right on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. I've got my first finger on the 11th fret of the 4th string, my second finger on the 11th fret of the 2nd string, and my ring finger on the 12th fret of the 3rd string. And then my pinky is going on the 13th fret of the 1st string. Hear that? Instead of playing this, I'm playing this. And you'll hear, I've heard Earl Hooker use that, playing over a 4. There's a tune called Earl's Boogie Woogie, or maybe Frog Hop, one of his instrumental tunes, he does that. Pee Wee Crayton, I've heard him use that. And it's usually in B flat, because when you're playing this as the 1, you want something that's up in that high register for the 4, so there's not such a contrast between the high and the low. At least that's why I think it works good. So that shape, really just playing over that first position bar chord. I'm making the D shape on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, dropping the pinky in on the 1st string. So if I were going to play that in B flat over the 1, but I don't hear this used over the 1. When I hear it used in the tunes by those guys I mentioned, it's always over the 4. And it's always when they're playing the 1 here in the higher part of the neck. You know, down here on the neck, up here on the neck. So anyway, so that is an example of a chord. It's just a 7th chord. So whatever key you're in, let's say I'm playing something like that in A. So here's my 1, and my 4. I'm just going over the D shape at the 10th to 12th frets. And I'm making that D shape and then dropping my pinky on the 12th fret of the 1st string. So that's just a different way to play a 7th chord over the 4. You could do something like this. Let's say we're in A again. You could play this and play the A shape 7th. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought, isn't this just a D add 9th chord? So here's so I'm playing over the 4. So here's the one I showed you, the 7th. And here would be a D add 9th. So listen to the notes. That's the add 9th chord, and then here's the 7th. It sounds similar, but if you play a D add 9th over the 4, it doesn't work as well. And I don't think that's what Tiny Grimes was playing, or Pee Wee Creighton, or Earl Hooker when they used this. So that shape, I've got the diagram for you, and if you play any other kind of finger picking guitar, I play some Merle Travis stuff, and he uses that sometimes, that same shape when he's playing over the 4, a 7th chord on the 4. So that is my featured chord of the month for January, February, and March. Again, if you have any requests, if there's a chord you've seen or heard in a song and you want me to tell you what it is or figure it out and show you, I can. If you've got a specific chord shape that you've got questions about, you know, I'm no chord expert, but I can probably figure it out. Otherwise, I'll just keep showing you different chords that pop up. And in no specific order, I've got separate lessons on the basic blues chords, 7ths, 9ths, major chords. And I'm just kind of pulling out random chords that you hear in one song or another. And this is one I've always liked, and I'm trying to incorporate this into my own playing. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you got any questions, comments, let me know, and I will see you again in a few months with another featured chord of the month.